Hey friends, welcome back to Homestead on a Prayer. Today we're going to be prepping our chicken run for winter. Now, if you saw the video that I did last year, I'm actually going to be doing a very similar thing this year. That for the most part worked well for us. The one difference that I'm going to be making is that I upgraded the materials I'm using. So last year we wrapped the run in, we got some cheap plastic shower curtain liners and we wrapped the run with those, which I felt like worked pretty well. Except that because we kind of skimped a little bit and got the lighter weight liners, they weren't really in good enough condition to use for a second year. So this year, I went probably the opposite extreme. We got the super heavyweight shower liners. One thing I really like about using these shower curtain liners, as you can see, they have these little grommets here, which makes it really easy to hang on our hardware cloth run, especially when we use shower hooks. I'm going to be kind of figuring this out as I go because, as I said, it's very similar to what I did last year, but I'm probably going to try to tweak it a little bit. So feel free to hang out with me in the chicken yard today and hopefully we'll be able to figure this out. So first I'm just going to go ahead and take these out of their packaging and we'll just get a look at them and see. I have 4 right now, which may not be quite enough. I may need to get another 1 or 2, but we're going to start with what we have and see how far we get so that I know how many more I need. So this definitely feels like higher quality than what we used last year. I don't know, I'm not sure if you can really tell on the camera, but this is nice thick plastic and it's got these little weights at the bottom. I'm not sure if that will be enough to keep it steady when it gets windy. Last year what we ended up doing was installing the shower curtains using these little grommets. We used shower curtain hooks along the top of our hardware cloth, and then we ran basically a small rope around the base, just around the base of the chicken coop to hold the base of this in place. So we may end up doing the rope trick again if we need it this year, but we'll just kind of figure this out as we go. My rooster is not super thrilled with the fact that it looks like I'm making changes to their home right now, but they will definitely get used to it and hopefully appreciate it as the season goes on. Now, the reason that I'm wrapping the run in plastic, you've probably seen a lot of chicken owners that live in colder climates do that in the winter. Basically, it cuts down on wind. Now, chickens are, for the most part, incredibly cold tolerant. They can handle cold temperatures really well, but they kind of fluff up their feathers and trap warm air close to their bodies. And when the wind comes through, that can just blow away all that warm air. Yes, as he's telling you. That can blow away that warm air that they've trapped and make them really cold. So by cutting down the wind, we're going to just allow our chickens to be able to survive this winter a lot more comfortably. Another thing that it can do is help prevent snow from blowing in. Now, again, if you have chickens and you live in a colder climate, you know, at least my chickens, maybe not all chickens, my chickens do not care for snow. So, yes, he actually doesn't know about snow because he is less than a year old, so this is going to be his first winter. So he'll get to experience that this year. But at least my chickens don't care for snow, and we have a covered run, so that will keep, for the most part, snow out. By keeping their run area free of snow, they're just going to be a lot happier. So you can see what I'm doing here is basically just using this shower curtain hanger, and I'm just going to thread it through here and try to hook it in as best I can. It's kind of a little finicky trying to get this to work when you're working with something with small holes like hardware cloth, but I think that I was able to get it to work last year, so with a little bit of persistence I should be able to this year as well. So as you can see, I got it to hook right on here. This makes for a relatively easy takedown and setup again next year. So my shower curtains also came with these little clips. I'm not sure if this is something that will be useful or not, but I'm just going to try to set it up and figure out as I go. Now I am going to have to figure out what to do in this corner here because this whole section of the run here was an extension that we added this year. We added that extension when we got new chicks this year, and we kept them in there. We kept them in there when they were old enough to be outside but too small to integrate with our older chickens. So they kind of lived side by side for a while. The ultimate plan is to put a door between these two runs so that when we don't need two separate sections, the chickens can all have access to the entire run, giving them a little more space. So my original plan was to run the plastic down the inside of this between the two runs here, since they don't have access to this run right now. This is posing a little bit of a problem, but I'm going to play around and figure out what to do about that. So here you can see that I've gotten this side all wrapped and gone around the corner. As you can see, there is still ventilation at the top. I didn't run the plastic all the way up to the top. That's intentional because that amount of space exposed up there, that's not going to create any wind that's going to blow directly on the chickens. And because of the roof overhang, it's not going to allow any significant snow in there either. But that's still going to allow ventilation. Chickens really need a well-ventilated space for their respiratory systems. So I definitely want to make sure we're not going to patch that. That's just going to stay how it is. Now down here along the base, you can see that these are long enough that they overhang onto the ground by several inches. So I think what we're going to do is probably lay some boards across this to hold it in place. And that should keep these in place even if we get strong wind. I think that's going to work quite a bit better than the rope system we had last year. You know, I don't really remember, but I'm guessing maybe it's just because they were so much lighter weight, or maybe it's because maybe they were shorter. I'm not really sure. But either way, I'm thinking what we're doing this year, while it's the same in principle, I think in reality it's going to work quite a bit better. So I'm inside the run extension now. I'm going to set up one of these shower curtains in here too, because as I said, we do want to create a door between the two runs, but I don't think that's something we're going to get to until spring. The chickens won't mind a little bit closer quarters for the winter. So I'm just going to go ahead and install this in here too. So I put up 3 of the super heavyweight shower curtains. This one is just plain heavyweight because they actually only had 3 in stock of the super heavyweight. After feeling this one, there is a really significant difference. So I would definitely recommend the super heavyweight. And I think if I end up needing, I'm thinking this is probably going to be enough for my run. But if I end up needing any more, I'm definitely going to make a point to get the super heavyweight. So you can see I've got this small area of the run right under the coop. Last year I didn't bother wrapping that. We just wrapped all this larger part here. And I think that ended up working out fine. So that's my plan for this year. I think that having the tall areas of the run lined with plastic, I think that really blocks enough of the wind that it keeps them warmer. So I just have one more that I'm going to install. Basically, I'm going to connect it to that one on the side, and I'm going to go over the door and around the inside of the door so that I can open and close the door, and that will be wrapped as well. So that's my plan for the rest of this lining. Then I'm going to grab some boards, and I'm going to lay them down along the base of the shower curtains that we've installed. I won't be able to do that on the door because I do want to be able to open the door. But everywhere else, I'm going to do that, and that should hold them in place, and that should hopefully keep wind and drafts out of the coop, or out of the run. Now, I hope that you will excuse all the cobwebs on my coop. I mean, this coop lives outside, so it's exposed to all kinds of insects and spiders. But I do want to mention these ventilation holes at the top of the coop there. So you can see that since it's gotten really cold at night, I have the coop windows closed. That's going to prevent drafts on the chickens. But we do keep those ventilation holes open all winter. Those holes are situated above the chickens' heads, so there isn't going to be any draft blowing directly on the chickens while they sleep. It is really important, even when it's really cold out, to make sure that your coop is well ventilated, because that's going to prevent moisture buildup. And moisture buildup in the coop is actually the biggest culprit when it comes to frostbite. When you get that moisture combined with really cold air, that's when frostbite happens. So by allowing that moisture from the chickens to kind of ventilate out into the air, that's going to basically be the best thing that we can do to prevent frostbite. So I experimented with using these little clips on here. They have a little peel-off sticky back, and then it clamps the shower curtain in place. So I tried one down here, and then another one at the base, and I'm actually pretty impressed with how well that's holding this in place. Now, I'm going to have to see if it stands the test of time. When it gets really cold here, I don't know if that's going to hold up, but as long as it holds up, I think this might solve my problem of what to do for this area here. I'm going to attach a third one in the middle here, and hopefully that'll be enough, and hopefully I won't have to do anything else with this joint here. So just open it like this a little bit. I'm going to peel that sticky back off. Just going to clamp it onto the shower curtain. and then stick it right to the wood. And it really seems like that's working well. So hopefully that holds up. So you can see our chickens are all tucked in for the winter. Here in Connecticut, we do get fairly cold winters. I would say they're probably not nearly as cold as some places like parts of Canada, Alaska, parts of the upper Midwest. I'm sure you all there have much more severe winters than we do. But it does still get fairly cold here. We always use this. We wrap our run with plastic. We make sure that we have a heated waterer so that their water doesn't freeze. That is one of the most important things about winter chicken care, is making sure that they always have access to water that's not frozen. So we did just switch over about a week or so ago when it started getting really cold at night. We switched over to our heated waterer. That's plugged in. We do have electricity out here, so we're able to plug that in. That makes sure that they always have access to fresh water. That is one of the most important things about maintaining your chicken health through the winter, is making sure they always have access to fresh water, not frozen water. So we did do that. Our coop it's not insulated, but it is very well. It's very draft free. It's draft free aside from the ventilation on top that I showed you, which is intentional. But my husband built this coop. He did an excellent job, so it's really great quality. So I'm confident that our chickens are going to do really well this winter. We also do use the deep litter method in our coop over the winter, which does produce, it's not a significant amount of heat, but just the breakdown of the chicken bedding over the winter, it does compost and it does produce a little bit of heat. Last year, during the coldest part of the winter, I did step into the coop with them to feel it, and it did feel not warm, but significantly warmer than the outside air. So I'm confident that our chickens will do completely fine this winter. If you have any winter chicken care tips, especially if you're in a colder area than me, I would love to hear your winter chicken care tips. So how do you keep your chickens healthy all winter long? So towards the end of this winter, I'm sure I'll update you guys on how this setup does. As I said, the setup last winter, it did fine for 1 year. This, I think, is going to be better, though, and my hope is that by getting the heavyweight shower curtain liners, I will be able to reuse them again in following years. So I hope you're having a great day. I hope that you're staying warm, that your chickens are staying warm, and I can't wait to see you soon. I'll see you next time.